Hi there, I'm Dr. Stephen Phelan and welcome to my video channel. What I would like to do today is to talk about a product review. And the first product that I'd like to review for my video channel is Filtek Supreme Ultra. And I do have a fair amount of experience with this product, even though it's a new product. I received it about a year ago from 3M to test out and have as a trial period before they released it to the general dental population. And so I can show you some photos that are almost a year old. So almost 1 year post-op photos on a case that I did. So you'll get an idea of the way it's holding up after about a year in service. And what I would like to say is that I definitely really liked Filtek Supreme Plus. It was essentially the go-to universal composite that I used in my practice for 95% of the restorations that I did. However, when Filtek Supreme Ultra came along, I noticed that there were definite improvements over Filtek Supreme Plus, so I've basically switched to that product in the last year. And what I'd like to do today is just talk about the different improvements that I've seen with the Filtek Supreme Ultra. And one of the main improvements that I've seen that I think is the best thing for us as restorative dentists is that it has an improved polish, and apparently it has improved polish retention, which again, you need some long-term studies to see this. I have about almost a year post-op photos that I'll show you, but with microfill composites I have 12-year post-op photos on cases that show polish retention that's still excellent. What I will tell you is after a year in service, it looks almost like the polishability of a microfill. I know it polishes similar to a microfill as far as ease of polish and sheen of polish. And then basically time will tell whether or not it holds up as well as a microfill composite. But I'll tell you that this is definitely a big improvement over a lot of hybrid composites that are out there on the market. And this will basically be the reason why I've used this as one of my main universal composites that I have in the practice. Another advantage of this product over Filtek Supreme Plus is an improved fluorescence. And if you look at this photo that I'm going to show you, basically this is a tooth form made out of Filtek Supreme Ultra and a cross-section of a tooth. And this was done by Dr. Durante at Case Western Reserve University. And you can see the fluorescence is almost the same as a natural tooth, which will be very advantageous in different lighting for the patient's restorations to look natural, especially when you have part of the tooth in composite resin and part of the tooth being the tooth itself. And if you ever get a chance, I'd recommend seeing Dr. Durante speak. I've seen a lot of his work with the Filtek Supreme Ultra, and it's beautiful composite dentistry. So I think he would be a worthwhile speaker to see if you have the opportunity. Another nice advantage for our staff and for the ergonomics of practice is they've improved the color coding of the packaging. And if you look here, this is a little stand that I've picked up from Practicon. I'll show you this maybe in another video, but this stand's holding the various syringes of the Filtek Supreme Ultra. And if you look here, what I have are the different opacities, and this is the translucent syringe, and it's kind of a grayish white color, so it's very easy to see. And then the enamel syringe is kind of a light blue. The body syringe is basically a normal blue, regular blue, and then the dentin syringe is dark blue. So it's very easy to tell the different syringes that you're going to get. And they also have the little compules in little jars that are similar color coding as well. Or you can get the Master's Kit, which I'll show you here. This is the Master's Kit of Filtek Supreme Ultra, and it has little wells or little holders that have the shade and the opacity with color coding as well. So color coding, I think, is a very helpful feature for this product as far as just helping our assistants and our staff know what is what. So what I'd like to do now is just share with you a small little case that I did. As I said, I liked the Filtek Supreme Ultra enamel shade for small incisal fractures. If you look at this case, the patient had 3 different incisal fractures, and they were medium size. paste, so I was almost thinking I would use body and enamel shade for this case, but I thought, you know what, I'm testing this product out, I want to see how it actually works, and I liked the way the enamel shades looked, so I thought I'm going to do this with one opacity of composite and one shade of composite. Basically, one compule of composite will do each of these restorations, and I decided to use an enamel shade for this patient because the patient has a fair amount of incisal translucency. So if you look here, what I've done is I've actually placed some of the composite on the tooth before I did any preparation or bonding or anything, just to cure it and see if I have the right shade. And I do this a lot of the time at the anterior portion of the mouth, just to make sure that the shade is correct before I go in and I glare it and bond it into place. This is a good, quick way to just test it out, make sure that you like the shade before you go through all the trouble of bonding it into the patient's onto the patient's tooth. And here are the preparations. You know, basically a slight bevel. I don't really like to prepare these types of defects a lot. I like to give them a little bit of a bevel, and that's about it. And generally, I do these without any local anesthetic. Then basically, these are just some photos that show the process of polishing the restorations. And in this case, I polished with the Softflex XT discs. I like the XT discs because of the flexibility. I've always used the XT instead of the regular Softflex discs. And then I used Flexi Buff and Renamel's Enamelized polishing paste, which I generally used on microfill composites. So I wanted to polish this similar to what I would do on a microfill composite, and then compare it over the years, how it's maintaining its polish. And if you look here, these are the almost 1 year post-ops. They're 11 months. And if you look, you can see it's holding up really nice with the polish. The enamel, the one shot of enamel shaded composite actually has filled the defect really well. You can hardly see any delineation between the tooth and the composite resin. And these are close-up photos, and you still don't see any difference between the tooth and the composite resin, or very little. The black background I put in place on this image to see, you know, can I see the delineation? And with the black background, yes, I can see a small amount, but not very much. And certainly when the black background's out of place and the patient's just talking to you, it just looks very natural and looks like there's nothing that's been done. And if you look at the lower one, you know, I generally don't do photos with the black background on the lower because it's just not practical. And if you look at this close-up view of this lower restoration, I can hardly see it. I think it's a very successful restoration. It's held its luster really well and polish really well. And I'm interested to see how it looks, hopefully 10 years down the road, if the patient doesn't move or something. As long as the patient's still in Oakville, I'm planning to take yearly interval photos and see how it looks. So that's my product review for Filtek Supreme Ultra. As I said, it's an excellent composite. It can be used as a universal composite for many different types of restorations in your practice. I do recognize there are many different excellent composite resin systems on the market today, and I've had the opportunity to use quite a few of them, and this is one of my favorites. You know, this is the one that we're actually purchasing and using on a day-to-day basis in our practice. But if you like some of the other ones, you know, I think there's so many good ones. The manufacturers are really being generous to us these days with so many good products. So thank you for turning in to my video channel, and I hope to see you again soon.